I received a question in the comments about indoor flash photography, specifically where you're dealing with mixed lighting, and that's usually when you're dealing with flash lighting and tungsten ambient light in the same scene. Now the question, what white balance setting do you use? And more generally, what camera settings do you use? And this again applies to indoor lighting scenarios. The answer depends on what you're trying to do. Now remember that a lot of photography is about striking a balance. Sometimes you can't get exactly what you want and exactly how you'd like it, so you try to get as close as you can. With mixed lighting, where you've got, for example, a flash on your camera and you've got ambient tungsten light in the scene, like a lamp somewhere in the background, you're dealing with two types of light and two types of color temperatures. The flash is going to rate higher on the Kelvin scale toward daylight colors, and we can think of these as white. Whereas the lamp, using a standard tungsten light bulb, is emitting light that is warmer and lower on the Kelvin scale. And this light appears more yellow or orange. So if you're shooting without flash in a room with tungsten light, you can just set your camera's white balance to tungsten, and it's going to compensate for the orange color cast light in the room, and your colors should be more of what you'd expect in your photos. Now if you're shooting with only flash, or you're only intending for the flash illumination to record in your images, then your white balance setting should be set to flash to get the correct colors to show up. The problem is, what if you'd like to record both flash and ambient light in the same scene? You can't set your white balance for both tungsten and flash at the same time, so you have to pick one. And if you pick flash, your tungsten light sources are going to go very orange. If you pick tungsten as your white balance setting, your tungsten sources will show up as white, but your flash lighting is going to be very blue. What do? One popular way to handle this situation is to use a CTO gel over your flash. And this effectively turns your flash into a more orange colored light source, more closely matching the color temperature of the tungsten light source in the scene. Now, since all the light in the scene is on the warmer end of the Kelvin scale, you can just set your white balance to tungsten and you should get an overall more natural white, and all the other colors in your scene should look more natural too. It's pretty simple. If you've got mixed lighting in a scene and you want to establish a natural white balance across the light sources in the scene, then you've got to find a way to make the color temperature of those light sources match each other. Then use a white balance setting on your camera that matches the overall color of those light sources. Gels are often the answer, and sometimes you'll use blue gels over tungsten lights to match your flash. Sometimes you'll use green gels on your flash under fluorescent lighting. But the thing I see most often is simply using orange gels over a flash to match tungsten ambient light. Lots of times I like warm tones in my tungsten lighting in my backgrounds, so I might take advantage of the mixed lighting by not getting all those colors to match. So I'll just set my white balance to flash and let the tungsten lights go really warm in the background. Not always, but sometimes. So in these cases, I don't use gels at all. In any event, gels are just really fun to work with for coloring backgrounds or for cool lighting effects. Now, I've got some other videos where I talk about using gels, so if you're interested in that, just check those links out in the description below so you can go and see those videos. Hey, if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button, and if you haven't already, go ahead and click subscribe. That's about it for today. I'll see you next time.